Yeah, good evening, everybody. It is a wonderful evening for a Bernie rally in Monterey, California. Thank you, Bernie Sanders Speeches and Events,
bringing
this to us.
And
we're just waiting. We just missed the first speaker.
And
this is a scrape from Bernie Sanders Speeches and Events on ABC News.
You
guys want to go find the original, go over to Bernie Sanders Speeches and Events. We'll run a lower third to that effect.
We will
always run a lower third. That's what we do on this channel.
How's
everybody doing?
How is it?
Looks like a beautiful day there, Monterey, California. Apparently, Bernie has been
kicking
some ass up and down the coast today.
I don't know
how that guy does as many rallies as he does.
Oh, there's echo. Everybody's going to tell me there's echo, and I see it now. I'm so sorry there was echo, everybody. Very, very sorry. Yeah, I hear you, Laura. There's echo. It's going to be gone now. My bad. Are we done? Is the torture over? All right. How is everybody doing? Let me find the chat. I've lost it. Way too many tabs open today. I want to thank our comment mods and wrenches for doing what they do and keeping this conversation one of the best on the internet. They started this really quick and I'm all discombobulated, moving things around. Jesse's laughing at me. 173. Awesome. And no echo now. I don't win any awards as a production engineer, that is damn sure. And remember, if our establishment media was doing their jobs, we wouldn't have to be doing this right now. I thank you all for being here. This is what it takes to win a political revolution. Everything we do counts. So please share this. Please comment. Please engage. There you are. It does look kind of like an inauguration. That is true. Bill. Hey, Miss D, Maximilian, Metalhead, Agnor. You're not going to believe this. I'm wearing my glasses. I can see things. I could actually see what's on the screen. Jill R, 70s Dave 34, Safari Concert, Sketchy Sushi. Holy cow, it's a whole new world. D Brown, Pea Shooter. Janet Elston, Think It Through. T 1776D. Sarah Gates. Hi, everybody. It's amazing what happens when you're not squinting anymore. Thank you for being here, Amy B. Oh, that's beautiful. Look at that. That's gorgeous right there. That's awesome. Please, everybody, go over to Bernie Sanders Speeches and Events on YouTube. I don't know that they have a Twitters, but go find them on YouTube. Go subscribe to their channel. Like them. Show them some love. Work that social. Let them know we thank them very much for letting us carry their feed and not being jerks about it. Look at all those people. This is badass. Where is this place? I mean, I know it's Monterey, but what is this place in particular? It's a really cool looking place. Hey, David. Poke Gamer 12, Sean 768, Judy. Isn't it your birthday today? Right, Jesse? Somebody's birthday. It was Judy's birthday. Jesse, you look frozen. Yeah. I can see, except for one. Judy M. It's Judy M's birthday. My bad, Judy M. Yeah, look at that. That's awesome. Is that what it is? A courthouse? Very cool. I could look. I could probably look. Judy M's birthday. Thank you so much. What do you think of the card? Steph is just amazing. That's just an amazing card. Monterey. Definitely works for Monterey, California, I think. I will start running your guys' comments when we get a little closer. Just waiting for them to build up. I'll be tracking Bernie or Bust, and we'll switch over to Caliburnication for a while. Burn that bitch down. It's amazing to me. Did he kill his tunes? I took off tunes when we were getting ready to start. It's amazing to me how much Bernie and all of us would make this campaign so amazing. We turn this into a party. This is a global virtual party as we watch together and celebrate the changing of our democracy for the better. It's going to happen one way or another. We will see you in Philly, Miss Clinton. Bernie comes on when he's done addressing the overflow crowd. That's basically how it goes these days, Aaron Moe. We have no idea when he's going to show up. Hopefully on time. I saw some early rumor about 20, 30 minutes late. Yesterday he was about that. I don't know. Anybody else? Anybody know? Whether he was on time for the earlier gig? He does so many of these. It's amazing they can get around. At the beginning of his campaign, before we started funding Bernie with our $212+ million that we have delivered to Bernie Sanders and our candidate, he was taking commercial flights. Now he's chartered a plane. He had to in order to get everywhere he goes, in order to do 3-4 stops in a day. Yeah, what temperature you guys got there? I can tell you here, I'm in Milwaukee, Oregon, which is just south of Portland, by 10 minutes. And we hit 90 today, and we will hit 100 on Saturday and Sunday. And that is not okay. That is about 2 months early, seasonally. And usually that only happens for about a few days, but it's going to happen a lot this year. Monterey Festival Extraordinaire. Awesome, you donated today, T776D. Bernie Sanders appreciates that. $257. Holy cow. Got a lot of people there. That's a nice sign there. And just so you know, I've got no audio coming through, guys. I'm waiting for that to kick in. He's just got it quiet on his end. And oftentimes the reason they mute is because ABC's running some voiceover or something. Oh, here we go.
The United States of America is the most powerful nation in the world. Yet, the way in which we treat many of our citizens is a shameful display of our power.
For hundreds of years, African Americans and their allies stood up and fought back against racism, segregation, and bigotry.
We have been woke from the dream, the beautiful dream, of having our first black president. Only to find ourselves entering into a new era of mass incarceration and police brutality that we call the new Jim Crow.
People like Michael Brown, Sandra Bland, and my father, Eric Garner, and the list goes on and on.
This campaign is listening to our brothers and sisters in the Latino community.
Todos sabemos que el sistema no está funcionando en este país. No está funcionando para ninguno de nosotros.
And the money that's made from the rigged economy is paying for the political campaigns. And they say they're gonna fix things. Wake up, America. How are they going to fix a broken system when they are profiting from a broken system?
What this campaign is about is telling Wall Street and the billionaire class they cannot They will not have it all. We want a government that represents all of us, not wealthy campaign contributors.
Since the recession of 2008, we have seen the erosion of the black middle class get worse. We've not just lost our jobs, but we've lost the homes that we worked so hard to build. So whether it's the fight for $15 an hour or for affordable housing, the policies that the next president enacts will either set us on a course towards poverty or prosperity.
People should not have to work 2 or 3 jobs just to get by, and then after all of that, 58% of all new income goes to the top 1%. That's wrong.
We live in the greatest country in the world, and yet so many of our citizens can't get an education. And if they do, they end up paying their student loans for the rest of their lives. Education is a right, not a privilege.
Instead of schools, they build prisons for profits and fill them to the brim with more people than any other society in history. We must disrupt the school-to-prison pipeline, reform our criminal justice system. The time is now.
I'm from Scotland, right? It's not a particularly rich country. It's not nearly as wealthy as the United States of America, for example. Yet, everyone has access to free education and healthcare. Why do we have that in America?
We should not be punishing people for getting an education. And instead of giving tax breaks to billionaires or fighting wars, we should not be fighting. We're going to be investing in housing and education and healthcare.
This election is not a popularity contest. It's not about who you like or who you want to go have a beer with. It's about our future. It's about our children.
What this campaign is about is creating a political revolution.
From Strong Island to Staten Island, Queens to the Boogie Down, BK, Manhattan. We need you, New Yorkers. Don't be just liking this online. You got to get in line. It's time to vote, show up, represent.
At this crucial moment in American history, we need my brother Bernie because he's a man of integrity, honesty, dignity, and courage. And he's got a vision that focuses on everyday people.
Real change takes place when millions of people look around them and they say, you know what? The status quo is unacceptable.
We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union,
establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense,
promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our prosperity.
Do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America.
Hey, Bernie from Brooklyn, talk to the people!
To paraphrase Abraham Lincoln at Gettysburg, this is a campaign of the people, by the people, and for the people.
I'm Bernie Sanders, and I approve this message.
I love this. I love the metal. It's just like fun. I tell you, Bernie Sanders' speech and events knows how to bring it with the audio. It's a totally different. Get ready to burn it up in Monterey with Bernie Sanders, everybody rocking out the town. Yes, I'm having fun, and it's ridiculous. I don't care. It's a beautiful day there. Look at that. Sun's pouring in. It's a great shot. Great camera shot. Wow, 298 out there. We can play the metal, but that's, yeah, it's not as fun as talking to you guys. What does that leave me to do? California, my understanding, we're going to win California. Big time. Clinton campaign, very scared right now. So I want to take a vote from everybody. How many think she's going to get indicted before the convention? How many think she'll get indicted after the convention? How many think she won't get indicted at all? If we had that Nightbot system working bad, we could do this, right? Maybe we can do this now. I don't know. Let's find out. Let's have fun. No worries either way. I don't know. If you guys don't know, we're messing around with a new system. Bad Wolf found it. It's really, really cool. I guess other people have used it before and they know about it, and that's fine. But for us, we're so focused on the news, we find these things as we can. It's a way to have some fun in chat with you guys, do polls, questions. We're going to integrate it. Look at that. Boom. The results are coming in, everybody. But I have no freaking idea how to tally. That's the CNN newsroom. It's a devastating numbers for Bernie Sanders. Results coming in, but I have no idea what they mean. That's what it is. You can't take your glasses off quick with the headphones on. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. And I look so... It just doesn't work. I look like a big nerd. I hope to God she gets... I hope to all gods. I don't even believe in God. And I hope by all of them that she gets indicted. Absolutely. Heck, if it happened, it might make me believe in God, because I don't think it's going to happen with our justice system at all. Do you? Well, some of you do. We'll see. Nightbot, do the maths. I don't know. And Bad, I wasn't trying to put you on the spot either. It's no big deal. Not a damn thing wrong with looking like a nerd, though. No, not at all. Absolutely. But yeah. Master VJ. Oh, thank you very much. That's funny. Did I tan today? I did a shit ton of yard work, actually. I am very tired. I will actually tell you guys some exciting news. There's a potential new location for BTV that would be an outbuilding on the place we're looking at down in Corvallis. And the reason I'm busting ass on our house is because we're about ready to put it on the market so that we can get down there. And if we do this, what it means is that we'll be able to have people come down. So if you're in the Corvallis area and you want to volunteer for BTV, you want to help me get trained, this is how we can expand out, do more shows. This is the beginning of something bigger. This is the beginning of the Global Engagement Network, and this is a place where we can actually have people show up. And we're going to run down on Friday after the newsroom and check this place out and see what the deal is. So I'm very excited about that. And of course, all of this is happening right around it's all coming together right at the same time as the Democratic convention. So it's perfect time. It's a perfect storm of stuff. Clinton says she helps countries without water. She got $6 million of Nestle from P&G bottled water. Yeah, I know. Let's not even. The fact that Nestle is doing what he's doing, that, and I say he, because it's really being led by the CEO, who's just I hate to say it, everybody, but the CEO of Nestle is definitely one of the top 10 shit stains on my list, a list of shit stains, and he's up there, and. What that company does is crimes against humanity. They're basically purchasing up all the water they can around the world. Corrupt government officials are selling it to them in desperation for cash, and the people have no idea that their water rights are being sold away, and there's nothing we can do about it. And yeah, they're gonna. I used to think a lot of this stuff was think it through. Was a conspiracy theory stuff, and while I do believe in many conspiracy theories. I don't believe there are any conspiracies anymore. I think they're all just good, solid theories about what our government's doing. And privatizing all of the resources that allow us to survive is a pretty big step in moving that oligarchy towards more of a solid fascism military state, which we're pretty much in when you have a police department across the country that are militarized with the old weapons. Obama's looking to replace all of the weapons our military has right now. He wants $1 trillion to replace our weapons, including short-range nuclear cruise missiles. How's that for something we don't ever need ever?
My name is Moody.
Oh, here we go.
I'm a Lebanese American. I'm a Utah.
Hi, I'm from Boston.
My name is Andrew. I'm from Raleigh, North Carolina.
Hi, from Sacramento, California.
Pennsylvania.
Alabama.
My involvement started 2 months ago when I began phone banking from home.
I do between 1 and 7 hours of call monitoring most days.
I've since become a part of a larger community effort.
And for the first time in my life, I find myself knocking on doors, phone banking, and passing out flyers to strangers. All for this great man.
Talking with people.
Knocking on doors. Canvassing and phone banking.
Times are tough right now, and we don't have extra money to send to politicians.
I'm calling from the Bernie Sanders campaign.
So, I saved me $20, gave myself my own haircut. And I'm going to take that $20, and I'm going to send it to Bernie Sanders. And, honey, I hope you're okay with that.
Brothers and sisters, now is not the time for thinking small. We are going to take this campaign directly to the people in town meetings, door-to-door conversations, on street corners, and in social media.
Remember that we the people part? Sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Feel the burn.
Now is the time for millions of working families to come together. We can live in a country where every person, no matter their race, their religion, their disability, or their sexual orientation, realizes the full promise of equality that is our birthright. We are going to build a movement of millions of Americans who are prepared to stand up and fight back. When people stand together, there is nothing that cannot be accomplished. In the last 2 months, virtually every national poll out there, including...
So that's Bernie Sanders speeches and events running ads. And I think that's really cool. They're just running Bernie ads. And that's awesome. I'm gonna stop that one. I'm checking out the hashtag Bernie in Monterey, seeing if there's any action on that. What's going on there? And we'll cut back to the ads, but what's really cool about what's happening here is that we're working together to share media that's important, and that's what's supposed to happen with the news, with the media, with the networks that were entrusted to be a check and balance between the people and the government. And independent media takes care of that now. But establishment media has failed to do that for decades. And thank you all for being here and supporting independent media, which will eventually replace establishment media, because that's the point. 407. Wow. The U.S. has been fascist state since Reagan, at least. Yeah. I would say the seeds of that were really the military-industrial complex post-World War II. Eisenhower warned us, everybody, and he did it in his farewell speech because he knew that he couldn't do it any other time, or he'd risk death. He warned us about the military-industrial complex, and now Bernie is doing what he can to take it on. That is the beast in the cave that we have to destroy. It sucks up more than half of our money. Our money. I have great respect for military human beings, and I agree that we need some kind of military. But I don't think we need 54% of our money going to the military anymore. We need to bring a large portion of that back to the people, including the veterans that they discard like trash when they're done using them for war. Go independent media. Yes. Obama equals Bush 2.0. I could not agree more, Tracy Navarro. He most certainly does. Obama, I was fooled. He is the last establishment candidate, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, Hillary's the last establishment president, let me put it that way. Hillary won't be. Right. Our money is being used to oppress us. Yes, Matthew Mark, that is exactly what's going on. That is exactly what's going on. Yeah. It's we live in scary times. I hate to say it, we live in scary times. I never thought that I would be calling out my establishment government and loyalists to it. Did you, Jesse? I mean, I'm looking at you. You're shaking your head. It's like, holy shit. How many of you thought you would be going against your oppressive establishment government this year for summer fun? I don't think last year in May I was going, honey, we just had, some heavy times in the family. I think I want to get involved in a political revolution this year. I don't know. I'm glad it happened, though, because I was sure not happy with the way things are, and neither is the rest of the world. I think that's the thing the establishment doesn't get it, that this is a global initiative. This is not a U.S. initiative. This is a global movement. We're going to take care of the establishment all around the world, and they will no longer control the people. I know, it's a big order. We got to start with the U.S., though. They're the ones making all the trouble, really. It's you can't defend going to war when you're the ones that start the wars and sell weapons to both sides of the wars and then send your guys in to fight the wars. Like, I don't know if you guys are aware, but apparently, we're fighting ISIS. We're on the front lines right now. Those advisors that Obama sent over, I mean, they've already got footage of these guys fighting side by side on the front lines. We're at war. We're at war, guys. Oh, look, we're starting. This is much more exciting than what I'm talking about.
Group of beautiful people. Aslahel, in my traditional language, that means good evening. I am a member of the Tulalip tribes from the state of Washington, and I have the honor of being here with you today. All of you Bernie fans, how many are here today? Wow, I see several thousands of you and several more trying to get in here. So you're the lucky ones here today. I've had the honor of traveling with Bernie throughout the United States, through New York, Oklahoma, San Diego, Washington State, and all over. And there are so many of you Bernie Sanders fans. It is an extreme honor to be here to introduce to you somebody who my children, I have 3 children, Cedar, Kaya, and I have my 6-year-old traveling with me. He's over here today. And they are major Bernie Sanders fans. And you know what? They have something to say because they are the future. And my children know I've been working, I was formerly vice chairwoman of the Tulalip tribe, so I've worked with many elected officials. And this is the first time my children said, "Mother, if you don't go out and support Bernie Sanders, then we're not going to call you Mom." So with that kind of pressure, I've been out here volunteering my time, giving gas money to those who are traveling with me to make sure that America knows that Bernie Sanders is the right person for the President of the United States. In 2012 and in 2013, I worked on the Violence Against Women Act in Congress. And Bernie Sanders never gave up on this Native American woman and all of the women out there in this country. So we're not giving up on Bernie Sanders. It's been an honor to watch somebody with so much heart and compassion. I met with him last night. I have the honor of serving on the DNC platform committee. I'm one of 5 people. So I got to sit privately with Bernie Sanders. And you know that one of the first things he asked me, "How are your children, Deborah?" Reaffirms that Bernie Sanders is the real deal. He definitely does give us a future to believe in. So, without further ado, before I begin, I just really need to do something that my ancestors have taught me to do, and that's to honor the indigenous peoples of this land. There are over 100 and some tribal nations in the state of California, so I want to give my love and respect to all the indigenous peoples here today and around California. I've been to many rallies, and I've seen the crowds, and I've seen many of you have tears in your eyes, and this man is incredible. Would you please help me to welcome the next president?
Tonight, are we? I want to ask you, is this the right hat? That's what I thought. Let me thank Sasha Foster Andrews. Let me thank Zach and Jordan for their music. Let me thank Margaret Benetti, Alan Haffer, Dominique Dursa, and a special thanks to Deborah Parker. Deborah is going to be a member of the Democratic National Committee drafting committee. And she is going to help me draft a platform that works for working people in this country, that is going to tell the billionaire class that they cannot get it all. And she is especially going to be focusing, given her background, on an area that needs an enormous amount of work, and that is fundamentally changing the federal government's relationship to the Native American community. This campaign began a little over a year ago. And when we began, we were considered by all of the quote-unquote smart people and all of the experts to be a fringe campaign. There was a lot of attention paid to my sophisticated hairdo. And to my GQ type of attire. But despite all of those presidential qualities, the media did not think we would be a serious campaign. But I think what has happened is that many of the experts have underestimated how angry and frustrated the American people are with establishment politics and establishment economics. And what has happened as the campaign proceeded is we have, to everybody's surprise, won primaries and caucuses in state after state after state. We have now won 20 primaries and caucuses. And if you promise to keep it a secret, don't tell anyone. Because Secretary Clinton is already getting very nervous. I don't want to get her even more nervous. But if you don't tell anybody, I think we're going to win here in California. And if we win here, and we win in South Dakota, and we win in North Dakota, and we win in Montana, and we win in New Mexico, and we win in New Jersey, we win in Puerto Rico, we win in Washington, D.C., we are going to be going into the Democratic National Convention at the end of July. We're going to go in there with an enormous amount of momentum, and I believe we will leave that convention with the Democratic nomination. Now, here is something important that I think everybody should know, because I think the media has gotten a little confused on this one. And that is that on June 7th, no candidate, unless I am very, very mistaken, no candidate will end up with the number of pledged delegates needed to win the nomination. Whether Secretary Clinton ends up with more pledged delegates than I do, or whether we do really well, we're at 46%. And if we do well in California and the other states, we have to do very well. We could perhaps end up with a majority of the pledged delegates. But in either case, neither candidate will have the number of pledged delegates, which are the real delegates. It's the delegates that you will be voting for on June 7th. Neither candidate will have enough pledged delegates to have the number that he or she needs to win the nomination. And that means that in a kind of broken system, either Secretary Clinton and myself will need the support of superdelegates. Now, I'm not a great fan of superdelegates, and I think you have an absurd situation that
the first ballot was cast, and
anybody else got into the race. 8 months before the first ballot in this nominating process was cast in Iowa, Secretary Clinton already had the support of 400 superdelegates. Now, it is a pretty dumb system. It is a system of anointment when 400 superdelegates come on board a campaign before anybody else had indicated that they would be running, and 8 months before the first ballot was cast, and certainly at a time when nobody has seen how this entire campaign has played out. So the point that we made, it is an unfair system, and it's a dumb system, and it's a system we will change. The point we are going to be making to the convention is a very, very important point, and that is the responsibility of the convention is to make sure that we have a candidate who will defeat Donald Trump. For a dozen or more reasons, Donald Trump should not and will not become president of the United States. But the case that we have got to make is that if those delegates look at virtually every national poll, if they look at statewide polls, there was just a poll came out here a couple of days ago. Hillary Clinton was ahead of Donald Trump in California by 10 points. And that is not a lot, given that California is one of the more progressive states in the country. We were ahead by 17 points. And we see the same thing in every national poll. She's ahead of Trump by a few points. Occasionally, she's trailing Trump. But we, in virtually every national and state poll, are doing much better than Hillary Clinton. And the reason for that is that while Secretary Clinton does well with Democrats, and I do well with Democrats, we do better with independents, people who frankly and for good reason are not enthusiastic about either the Democratic or the Republican Party. And here is the second reason, an important reason, why we are the strongest campaign. And that is, just look around here in Monterey tonight. And what this campaign has done is brought together millions of people, working people, and young people who are prepared to stand up and fight for real change in this country. Any objective observer, not me, but any objective observer will tell you that our campaign has the energy, has the enthusiasm that Clinton's campaign does not have. And what energy and enthusiasm and determination translate into is a large voter turnout in November. Republicans win elections when people are demoralized, when they give up on politics, and when they don't vote. Democrats and progressives win elections when people are prepared to get involved in the political process, to fight for change, and that is our campaign. Now, if elected president, one of the many things we are going to do is transform the very nature of the Democratic Party. Now, I want to ask you, I was in Santa Cruz earlier and I asked that, but I want to ask you the same question, and be honest with me with your answer. How many people here have ever attended a meeting of the Democratic Party? Raise your hand. Okay. I would say it's about 5% or less of the people. I want to open up the doors of the Democratic Party so that everybody here feels welcome to come in. That is not the case right now. The truth is, and I don't think any honest person would deny it, and this is true of the Republicans as well, that a lot of people in both parties, you know what they spend most of their time doing? They're not here in Monterey talking to 5,000 people. They're out in some rich person's home raising money. And that's got to change. Instead of raising money from Wall Street and billionaires, we need a political party and a political movement in which millions of working people and young people are actively involved. We should not be taking money from Wall Street. We should be taking Wall Street on. Now, one of the most exciting and, in fact, surprising aspects of this whole campaign, and I would not have predicted it, is that in state after state, when we win and even when we lose, we have won the overwhelming majority of the votes from young people. And by young people, I don't mean just the 20-year-olds. I mean, or the 19-year-olds. I mean people 45 years of age and younger. Now, I know that if you are 19, 45 does not seem young, right? But when you are 45, it will seem very young. Your perspective will change. But the reason why this is so exciting is that when you look into the future of our country, what we now know is that our vision, our shared vision, which is a nation based on social justice, economic justice, racial justice, and environmental justice, that is the future of our country and should be the future of the Democratic Party. One of the achievements that we have secured that I am enormously proud of, and that in fact is unprecedented in American history, is that we have up to this point received almost 8 million individual campaign contributions. 8 million. That is more than any other candidate in the history of our country up until this point. Anybody know the average campaign contribution? $27. That's pretty good. And what that shows is that our campaign can run a winning national campaign without begging billionaires or Wall Street or the drug companies for their money. Now, Secretary Clinton has chosen to raise her campaign funds in a different way. She has not one super PAC, but a number of super PACs. And she has raised many millions of dollars from Wall Street and other special interests. Now, I know that people say, well, yes, I get all this special interest money, but it doesn't impact me. I don't think anybody believes that. This campaign is doing so well and is going to win because we're doing something very unusual in American politics. We're telling the truth. And here is the truth. You may not see it on TV, you may not read it in the papers, but this is the truth. We are now living under a corrupt campaign finance system. A system which is undermining the foundations of American democracy. That is a simple, straightforward truth. What democracy is about is not complicated. It is that every person is entitled to a vote. One person, one vote. Democracy is not about billionaires buying elections. And that is why we are going together to overturn this disastrous Citizens United Supreme Court decision. But it is not just a corrupt campaign finance system that we have got to overturn. It is a rigged economy. And again, you're not going to see too much of it on corporate media, but here is the reality. The reality is today, in this country, the top 0.1% now owns almost as much wealth as the bottom 90%. The wealthiest 20 people own more wealth than the bottom 150 million people, half of our country. One family, the Walton family of Walmart, owns more wealth, one family, than the bottom 42% of the American people. A rigged economy is when people in this country are forced to work longer hours for lower wages. A rigged economy is when people in Vermont and California are forced to work 2 or 3 jobs to earn enough income and health care benefits to take care of their families. A rigged economy is when a mother has to go out to work and makes $11 an hour, which is not enough to pay for the child care she needs, for the rent she pays, or to take care of her children with dignity. A rigged economy is when veterans who have put their lives on the line to defend this country now sleep out on the streets. A rigged economy is when a CEO of a large corporation makes $40 million a year and then cuts back on the wages, health care, and pensions of his employees. A rigged economy is when a profitable corporation shuts down in the United States because they can make more money moving to China. A rigged economy is when over the last 25 years there has been a massive transfer of wealth from the middle class of this country, and I'm talking about trillions of dollars, to the top 0.1%. Our job, brothers and sisters, is to create an economy that works for all of us, not just the 1%. An economy that works for the middle class, for the children, for the elderly, for the sick, and for the poor. That is our economy. This campaign, though, is not just about ending a corrupt campaign finance system and a rigged economy. It is about ending a broken criminal justice system. It is unconscionable and it is embarrassing for every one of us and every American that today we have more people in jail than any other country on earth. We are now spending $80 billion a year to lock up 2.2 million Americans. Brothers and sisters, that is going to change. And what this campaign is about is asking the American people to think outside of the box, to think in ways that Congress does not think, that's not hard to do, or ways that the media does not ask us to think. In other words, in Congress, we are very often asked to make a choice. Should you cut back on nutrition programs for hungry kids, or should you cut back on education? Should you cut back on climate change? Should you cut back on infrastructure? Those are the choices that we are given. But we know there are other choices. Among others, we're going to demand that the billionaires and large corporations start paying their fair share of tax. But with regard to criminal justice, here is what we have got to understand. Right now, in communities, in inner cities, and in rural areas, there are youth unemployment rates for kids who have graduated high school of 30, 40, 50%. Often these are African American communities and Latino communities and rural white communities. And when kids graduate high school and there is no job for them, when they hang out on street corners, that is when young people can get into trouble. So I believe that what we must do is invest in our young people in jobs and education, not in jails and incarceration. I want to see our young people studying. I want to see our young people earning a decent wage, working in a meaningful job, not rotting in a jail cell. And let us not forget, it costs less money to send somebody to the University of California than to lock that person up. Profoundly wrong in this state and in all across this country when we are building a lot more jails than colleges and universities. But when we talk about criminal justice, it's not just dealing with youth unemployment. It is taking a hard look at local police departments all across this country. Now, I was a mayor of Burlington, Vermont for 8 years. I worked with my police department. I've worked with police officials all across this country. The vast majority of police officers are honest, hardworking, and they have a very difficult job. But like any other public official, if a police officer breaks the law, that officer must be held accountable. We have got to demilitarize local police departments. We have got to make local police departments reflect the diversity of the people they serve. We have got to end corporate ownership of prisons and detention centers. We have got to change all over this country law enforcement culture so that we all understand that using lethal force, killing somebody, is the last response, not the first response. It is not wimpy for a police officer to break up a dangerous situation without killing somebody. That's not wimpy, that's heroic, and that's what has to be done. This campaign is going to win because instead of talking to billionaire campaign contributors, we are listening to ordinary Americans. We are listening to workers who tell me loudly and clearly they can't make it on $9 or $10 an hour. The current federal minimum wage of $7.25 an hour is a starvation wage. It's got to be raised to $15 an hour. Real unemployment in this country is not 5%. It is close to 10% when you include those people who have given up looking for work and people who are working part-time. We need a massive federal jobs program to put people in America back to work at good wages. We should be hiring teachers, not firing teachers. We should be creating the best child care pre-K system in the world. We should be rebuilding our crumbling infrastructure, roads and bridges and water systems and wastewater plants. And when we do that, we create 13 million good-paying jobs. And when we talk about raising the minimum wage and pay and equitable wages, we have got to end this absurdity of women making 79 cents on the dollar compared to men. I know that every man will stand with the women in the fight for pay equity. Equal pay for equal work is what we need in this country. This campaign is also listening to women when they tell me they are sick and tired of listening to Republicans running all over this country talking about family values. Because everybody here knows what Republicans mean by family values. What they mean is that no woman here in California or in the United States should have the right to control her own body. We disagree. values also mean is that gay people in our country should not have the right to get married. We disagree. Now, Jane and I have been married 28 years. And thank you. And there's nobody you know who believes more in family than Jane does. But when we talk about family values, what we mean is ending the international embarrassment. Think about this. I don't see it much on media, but think about it. The United States is the only major country on earth that does not guarantee paid family and medical leave. And this is what that means. It means that today in California and in Vermont and all over this country, women are having beautiful babies. But if that woman is working class or low income, the odds are that in a week or two, she will have to separate herself from that beautiful new baby and go back to work in order to earn the income she needs to take care of her family. That is not a family value. That is the opposite of what a family value is about. And that is why together we are going to pass legislation requiring and guaranteeing 3 months paid family and medical leave. This campaign is listening to young people. And what young people are asking me is, how does it happen that after they do exactly the right thing, they go out and they get the best education that they can, why is it that they're ending up $30,000, $50,000, $70,000 in debt? Now, everybody here knows that we live in an extremely competitive global economy. If this country is to succeed now and in the future in a changing economy with a changing technology, we need the best educated workforce in the world. And here is the truth. The truth is that 50 years ago, 40 years ago, in America, you had a high school degree, you were doing pretty well. You could go out, get a decent job, and make it into the middle class. By and large, those days have ended. People need more education, more training to do the work of this period. That is why I believe that when we talk about free public education, it is not good enough to talk about first grade through 12th grade. We need to make public colleges and universities tuition free. If you think outside of the box for 1 second, does anybody here think that that is a radical idea? It really is not. It is an eminently commonsensical idea. It's an idea that exists already in Germany. It exists in Scandinavia and in other countries. They are smart enough to be investing in their young people. And when you invest in your young people, you are investing in the future of your country. And this is what I also believe. I grew up in a family, we didn't have much money. My mother and my father never went to college. And millions of families in America are in that same boat. This is what I want to see. I want to see every kid in Monterey, every kid in America know, if they're in the 4th grade, 6th grade, freshmen in high school, I want them to know that if they study hard, if they take school seriously, if they do well in school, that regardless of the income of their family, yes, they will be able to get a college education. How many people here have student debt? Whoa. Well, welcome to the club. There are millions in your same boat. Now think about this again. Think about it. We should be rewarding people who get the education they need, not punishing them. We should not be forcing debt on people, which they're going to have to pay back year after year, sometimes decade after decade. There are people out there who cannot afford a car because they're paying off their student debt. They can't afford a house, they can't get married, they can't have children. That is nuts. And what I think we should do is make sure that every person in this country who is carrying student debt is able to repay those loans by refinancing them at the lowest interest rates they can find. Now, making public colleges and universities tuition-free, substantially reducing student debt is not an inexpensive proposition. It costs about $70 billion a year, a lot of money. How are we going to pay for it? Well, I will tell you exactly how we're going to pay for it. 8 years ago, against my vote, the Congress bailed out Wall Street after Wall Street's greed and recklessness and illegal behavior drove this economy into a horrendous recession. The CEOs on Wall Street went begging the Congress, please bail us out, we will be good boys. Well, today Wall Street is doing just fine. Now is the time to impose a tax on Wall Street speculation. That tax alone would bring in more than enough money to make public colleges and universities tuition-free and significantly reduce student debt. Now, Wall Street does not like this idea. But I think Wall Street is going to learn that the days in which they got everything they wanted is now ending. This campaign is listening to the Latino community. And they remind us is that today in America there are 11 million undocumented people, and many people in this area are undocumented. And what happens when people are undocumented is that they are exploited. They have no legal rights, and their employers can cheat them, and their employers do cheat them. Because if you have no legal rights, you cannot stand up and fight back. And that is why I believe the Congress must move toward comprehensive immigration reform and a path toward citizenship. That is why I believe we must end the current deportation policy. The function of immigration reform must be to unite families, not divide families. And if the Congress does not do its job, I will use the executive powers of the presidency to do what I can. This is listening to the African American community. I have been all over this country, and I've been to inner cities in Flint, Michigan, in Detroit, in Baltimore, in Philadelphia, New York City. I've been there. And what I have seen, the poverty that I have seen, the human suffering that I have seen, should not be taking place in the United States of America in the year 2016. The African American community asked me, how come we can spend trillions of dollars on a war in Iraq we never should have gotten into, but somehow we don't have the money to rebuild inner cities in this country. Together, we are going to change our national priorities. Instead of rebuilding communities in Iraq and Afghanistan, we're going to rebuild them right here in the United States of America. As Deborah Parker mentioned to you when she introduced me, this campaign is going to start paying attention to a group of people whose pain is very rarely heard, and that is the Native American people. Everybody knows that the Native American people, from the very first days of this country, from before the time we became a country, when the first settlers came here, Native American people have been lied to, they have been cheated, and treaties they negotiated were broken. Meanwhile, as you all also know, the Native American people have incredibly enriched our culture. And we owe them a debt of gratitude that we can never fully repay. And perhaps the most important lesson that they have been trying to teach us, and we had better learn, is that as human beings, we are part of nature. We must live with nature. And if we continue to destroy nature, we are ultimately destroying ourselves. But despite their gifts to our country today all over America, in Native American communities and on reservations, unemployment and poverty are sky high. Educational opportunities and health care is often abysmal. Together, we are going to change the federal government's relationship to the Native American people. I am a member of the U.S. Senate Committee on the Environment. And I know, having talked to scientists all over the world, what Donald Trump does not know. I know that climate change is real, that climate change is caused by human activity, and that climate change in California, in our country, and all over the world is already doing devastating harm. And what I also know, and what the scientists are telling us as loudly as they can, and boy, had we better listen to them, is if we don't get our act together in the near future, a bad situation will become much worse. More drought, more floods, more extreme weather disturbances, more acidification of the ocean, more rising sea levels, more international conflict as people fight over limited natural resources. We have a moral responsibility to make certain that we leave this planet in a way that is healthy and habitable for our children and our future generations. And that is why, together, we are going to take on the fossil fuel industry. And we are going to transform our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energy. And let me say, on that area, Secretary Clinton and I have an important disagreement. I see climate change is a major planetary crisis. I believe we have got to be extremely bold. I believe there should be a tax on carbon. And there's another area of growing consequence. It's getting worse, and I think more and more people are now paying attention to it. And that is whether or not this country, and in fact the world, will have the clean drinking water that we need in years to come. Right now in California and in many communities of this country, people are turning on the tap. They cannot drink the water because it is polluted and toxic. In my view, now is the time to end fracking.
To be as clear as I can.
My state of Vermont was the first state in the country to end fracking, and if I have anything to say about it, we're going to end it in the other 49 states as well. This is another area where Secretary Clinton and I have an important disagreement. Not only is she not supportive of ending fracking, when she was Secretary of State, she actively pushed the fracking technology on other countries around the world. Let me be as clear as I can be and say something which often my critics, the media, and everybody else disagrees with me on, but let me be honest with you and tell you what I believe. I believe that health care is a right of all people, not a privilege. And that means that the United States has got to join every other major industrialized country. United Kingdom, France, Germany, Holland, Italy, Scandinavia. I live 50 miles away from the Canadian border, Canada. All of those countries provide health care as a right to all of their people. Now, the Affordable Care Act, in my view, has done some very important things. But we have to go further. It is not, let me ask you a question. How many people here have no health insurance? Please raise your hand. Wow. How many people are underinsured with high deductibles and high copayments? Okay. Those hands indicate a dysfunctional and failed healthcare system. And we're going to change that. This morning, I met with some doctors who reminded me that because millions of Americans have no health insurance and others have high deductibles and copayments, which prevent them from going to the doctor when they should, that people every day are dying because they go to the doctor too late. And I've talked to doctors who tell me they have seen patients walk in the door and they say to the patients, "Why didn't you come in here a year ago when you first felt your symptoms?" And the people say, "I had no health insurance. I couldn't afford to go to the doctor." That is not what America is supposed to be about. We are losing 40,000 people a year who die unnecessarily because they don't get the medical treatment they need
when they need it. And that is why, together, we are going to pass a Medicare for all healthcare system. And when we pass a Medicare for all healthcare system, we are also taking on the greed of the pharmaceutical industry, which is charging us by far the highest prices in the world for the medicine we use. Now, it is crazy. If you want to hear crazy, this is crazy. 1 out of 5 people, 1 out of 5, who go to the doctor and get a prescription, they can't afford to fill that prescription. You have senior citizens in California and in Vermont who cut their pills in half, which is a bad thing to do because they cannot afford the medicine they need. But last year, the major 5 drug companies made $50 billion in profit. And over the years, the major drug companies have given severance packages, retirement packages, to their CEOs of over $100 million. Our job is, and we will bring this about, is standing up to the insurance companies, standing up to the drug companies, and telling them that the function of health care is to provide quality care, comprehensive care to all of our people, not to have them make billions of dollars off medicine. Everybody here knows a very profound lesson of American history. And that lesson is that real change never ever takes place from the top on down. It always takes place from the bottom on up. Think about the condition of workers in America over 100 years ago when people were working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, and children were working in factories. And what the working class of America said, that is not acceptable. We are human beings and we want to be treated with dignity. We will form trade unions and negotiate contracts. Thank the American trade union movement for giving us, for fighting for us in creating the modern middle class of this country. 150 years ago, amidst the abomination of slavery, there were African Americans and their allies who stood up and fought back and had a vision for America that the day would come when we would end racism and segregation and bigotry. And over the years, millions of people stood up, fought back, they went to jail, some of them were killed, some of them were beaten. But they stood united, having a vision of a non-racist America. Many children don't know this, but less than 100 years ago, not a long time ago, from an historical perspective, women in America did not have the right to vote, to get the education they wanted, or do the work they wanted. Women were told by the establishment of their time and by the culture of their time that a woman's place is home, keeping house, and having babies. But women stood up and they said to the establishment and the ruling class, "You will not define us, we will define our own lives." And and their male allies stood up and said loudly and clearly, women will not be second-class citizens in this country. Think about this. If we were here 10 years ago and somebody jumped up and said, you know, Bernie, I think that by the year 2015, gay marriage will be legal in every state in this country. The person next to her would have said, you're nuts. There's too much homophobia in the country, too much hatred, too much bigotry. Ain't gonna happen. But what did happen is that the gay community and their straight allies, with enormous courage, said to our nation that people should have the right to love whoever they want, regardless of their gender. That's how change occurs. And here's also how change occurs right now, as we speak. 5 years ago, if we were here, somebody jumps up and says, you know, Bernie, this $7.25 federal minimum wage, it's a starvation wage. It is an outrage. We have to raise that minimum wage to $15 an hour. Person next to them would have said, $15 an hour? You want to go from $7.25 to $15? You're crazy. You're radical. You're a dreamer. It can't happen. You're asking too much. But then something remarkable occurred. And that is that the workers in the fast food industry, in McDonald's and Burger King and Wendy's, they went out on strike. And they stood up and they told their neighbors and they told this country, a human being in America cannot live on $7.25 an hour. That we've got to raise the minimum wage to a living wage. And then, up in Seattle, 3 years ago, City Council voted $15 an hour. And then San Francisco and Los Angeles, $15. And California and New York State, $15 an hour. And if I have anything to say about it, and I will, as president, there'll be $15 an hour in every state in this country. Now here is my point. Throughout history, the establishment, the ruling class, always tells people, think small, don't think big. You can't accomplish big things. We have the power. We have the wealth. You are nothing. And what we are saying in this campaign is sorry, too late for that kind of thinking. We are going to create the nation we want. And all across this country, from Maine to California, people are looking around them and they're saying, what is going on in this great country? Why has the middle class been shrinking for the last 25 years, and almost all new income and wealth goes to the top 1%? Why are we seeing a proliferation of billionaires while we have the highest rate of childhood poverty of almost any major country on earth? Why are we the only major country not to guarantee paid family and medical leave? Why are young people leaving school $30,000, $70,000 in debt? Why are women making 79 cents on the dollar compared to men? Why is our infrastructure collapsing when we have so many unemployed workers ready to rebuild that infrastructure? Why are corporations shutting down in America and moving to low-wage countries abroad? Why do we continue to have a corrupt campaign finance system that allows billionaires to buy elections? That is what the American people are thinking about. And what they are concluding, and what this campaign is about, is that it is too late for establishment politics and establishment economics. The establishment has betrayed the American people, and now is the time for real change. And if we learn from history, from the workers' movement, from the civil rights movement, from the women's movement, from the gay movement, if we learn from history, what we learn is the only way that real change takes place is when millions of people stand up and fight for that change. That is what this campaign is about. What this campaign is creating a government that works for all of us and not just the 1%. On June 7th, there's going to be an enormously important primary, Democratic primary right here in California. 475 delegates are at stake. I believe that if there is a large voter turnout, not only will we win this primary, we will win it big. So I am asking tonight the people of Monterey, I'm asking the people of California to make the Democratic primary on June 7th have the largest voter turnout of any primary in California. California is the largest state in this country. It is one of the most progressive states in this country. And I'm asking the people of California to help lead us into the political revolution. Thank you all very much.
Well, are you feeling the burn? I am feeling the burn. That was an amazing rally with Bernie Sanders, Monterey, California. Thank you so much, Bernie Sanders Speeches and Events, for bringing that to us. Look at that. That looks very presidential to me. That is the future president of the United States. One way or another, folks, this democracy will become ours again. We've got no choice because our planet's dying. Thank you all for being here. How many people are here? A lot of people here. Just some info, everybody. Californians. I used to live in California. I spent 10 years there, but would drive up to Portland. And I've watched the... thank you, Comment Mods. Thank you, guys. You kicked some serious ass. Who did we have? Who was working today? We had Ryan and Eric P. and Liam. Eric Parsons. Hey. Hey there. The wizard on the Twitters. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. This is what it takes to have a real conversation. So I really appreciate you being here. 6:15, still with us. Awesome. Thank you, everybody. That was a fantastic, really clean feed from ABC, scraped by Bernie Sanders Speech and Events. We shouldn't have to do this, but we do because this stuff isn't made public to you guys for all of these events because we're under an establishment rule. It's an oppressive government. We know that. Part of that oppression is the toxicity of our cities. Bernie talked about that, and California is toxic. And Jerry Brown is an establishment tool, and he's destroying your state. And it's really, really sad what's happening there. I don't know if you know this, but Shell Oil last week spilled 90,000 gallons of crude oil off the coast, and they just dumped another 20,000 gallons somewhere up in the California mountains. You've got massive methane leaks all over. You've got people ill in the LA basin where they're fracking the San Andreas Fault. The government just approved, this is your Jerry Brown, just approved fracking off the coast again. California, you guys are toast. You got no water. Nestle's bought all your water. Jerry let him do that. You're growing almonds. Don't know why you're doing that. You're on fire, and if you're not, you will be soon. Temperatures are going to be insane, and we already see that happening, folks. Shit's getting real with climate. Shit's getting real with climate big time, and we have to stand strong, and we have to fight for the survival of this planet. Anybody who thinks that fracking can continue is an idiot and is misinformed. Sorry, maybe just misinformed. I won't go so far as being an idiot, but at this point, if you can't just look and see. So they've already proven that it leaks through and infects groundwater with lead and a billion other chemicals, because they don't tell us what's in those chemicals because they're proprietary and the EPA doesn't make them disclose what those chemicals are. We know that it causes earthquakes. Texas, earthquakes, proven, scientific fact. There's nothing good about fracking. Zero. Nothing except for profit for Obama and his establishment friends. ExxonMobil, the planet killers. ExxonMobil, the planet killers. There's nothing good about fracking. We need to end fracking. The fact that Hillary Clinton and her group won't end fracking, or it's just ridiculous. So California, you guys, I don't know what's going to happen to you. Please vote for Bernie so that we can change this thing fast. That's all I'm saying. Thank you all for being here. There was like several different options I was thinking about playing to get out of here tonight. And I think what I'm going to end with is the most important thing in this rigged, messed up system. The only way, or I think I shouldn't say the only way. There is no only way. I love what Bernie said tonight. I don't have the exact quote. Hey Jesse, this is one of those moments where I'm like, this is a clip. So it's when Bernie basically says, I want you to think outside of the box. And I think he says, not like the establishment, which isn't hard to do, or something like more than the establishment is. I don't know what it was. It was a beautiful, beautiful quote. He basically took a big slam. He also called out Hillary, saying, selling fracking, shoving fracking on other countries around the world, which is true. Countries that didn't want it at all. The people didn't want it. They were protesting. The government was like, yeah, but they just handed us a bunch of cash. Or they told us they were going to take shit away. Because Hillary Clinton didn't just sell fracking. They used fear and intimidation if the countries didn't want it. It was basically like, we're going to frack. Fuck you. She is as worse as Trump. I hate to say it. She's as worse as Trump if you understand what the establishment is. Trump may be more unpredictable. I'll give you that. But she is as dangerous. Don't mistake Hillary for being somebody that actually gives a shit about anything. She is on the same level as Trump. We have to move on. Anyway, he said Congress. Yeah, which isn't hard to more than Congress, right? Yeah. Okay, thank you guys. I wasn't sure what I want to get that quote. That was a great quote. We need. Cenk Uygur said in a thing he did yesterday that getting louder is absolutely what we need to do, right? And I had a big talk about that on the newsroom this morning, which got blacked out by Viacom for a few minutes of Jon Stewart in a medley clip that we played. Now, interestingly enough, one of the other clips that we played, and I don't even remember what it was, but they basically were like, okay, you used our clip. We're going to monetize it because we're not stupid. But Viacom, I don't know what the deal is. So I disputed it. But the thing with YouTube is if I lose the dispute, there's a chance that they'll shut down the channel from streaming because it's doubly punitive. It's an absolute bullshit, abusive system, just like many of the systems that we now have in place in this oppressive non-democracy. And the reason I'm telling you all this stuff is because we're far beyond voice. We need to take action, protest, march in the streets. And I know we're doing it, but I want to encourage more of it. I will see you in Philly, and I want to encourage everybody that can to get to Philly by whatever means they can so that we can show the DNC that we are not screwing around. We are a massive force, and we're pissed. And this is either going to go peacefully, or at some point, they're going to push the people over the edge. You can only oppress a people so far, and they just need to read a history book to know what happens. And that's what Cenk didn't really finish when he said, we've got nothing left. That's where I disagree with you, Cenk. What happens when you got nothing left is the people turn from peaceful protest to violent protest, and none of us want that to happen. So let's break the establishment before they break us. Be relentless. That is what we have to do. This is Makana superdelegate sellout blues, because my point in all of that jibber jabber was to say the superdelegates, if we want to do this peacefully, are the key. And if they want to have jobs, they need to choose Bernie Sanders and the will of the people. That's really what it comes down to. You guys want to have jobs? Don't be loyal to the establishment. Read a history book. Find out what happens to the loyalists in a revolution, be it political or otherwise, and do the right thing and bow to the will of the people. Represent the people like you're supposed to. Feel the burn, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow for the newsroom, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. And we're doing a rally somewhere in there. Thank you for being here, everybody. You're awesome.
Bernie's at the pulpit, waking up the Democrats. I'm on the Facebook, thinking about the government. Some libs on the left side gave up, moved right. Heck, it ain't their plight, said they don't want to fight. Look out, kid, ain't nothing you did, but you can't get a job that pays more than $8. You better get to that rally today, looking to get out of debt. A woman in a pantsuit, getting off a Learjet, wants to be a shoo-in, but you just don't know yet. Hillary on a high horse, mouth full of changing course, talking well the banks put gift in an envelope. Email CIA, wish they'd just go away. IT immunity, here come the DOJ. Look here, kid, you know what she did, but now it's just history. It's different than she's gonna be. Update her biography, plagiarize philosophy. Even if you don't agree, at least she ain't the GOP. You don't need principles when all you want is victory. No, it won't. Party rules, voter don't. Caucus, bureaucracy, delegate autocracy. Some pledge, unpledged, super delegates ahead. Long lines getting crossed, out of balance, coin toss. Listen, kid, you gotta get rid of the lobbyists, cheaters, corrupt party leaders, party line repeaters. Girl on the 6 o'clock news says sorry you lose, but you still got hours to go, standing in a voting queue. Get mad, act bad, short fuse, tease, cruise, own the news, wear a wig, talk big, then try to renege, race bait, sling hate, instigate police, state, dictate. You wanna build a wall, you better get on back to real estate. Watch it, kid, we've already slid in a fascist territories, only in it for the glory. Trump and Clinton be a baby, screw with the right and left. General election, he gon' fail, Hillary won't go to jail. Trump gets kickback, she gets crowned. Don't let the revolution shut itself down. Vote for Bernie.
Huge